us to the subway. Very transportation heavy this morning as we are talking about being on the roads. Ever needing to take a fitness to drive assessment as well. And I've seen a few texts coming through as well. We'll go through those texts in a moment. I just wanted to speak to Carmine Mastrogiacomo, who has gotten in touch on the phones as well to talk about this. Carmine, thank you for joining us on BBC Essex today to talk about driving and fitness to drive assessments as well. What's your experience in this area?
Well, it's really important that if anyone feels that their driving has deteriorated for whatever reason, that they do get an assessment of some sort. Especially as we sort of get older, our reactions become slower, our eyesight changes, and it deteriorates quite slowly. So it's important that we're on top of sort of certain things in order to keep our driving up to date as well.
And we've been posing the question, should all drivers over 70 be required to take this course? What are your thoughts on this, Carmine?
Well, I suppose that's quite a tricky one to answer because, many people drive for many years without an incident, let's say. But the stats do show that as we get to a certain age, our reactions do slow. And it's important that we're assessed. It's just like anything. We send our cars in for an MOT every year to make sure it's safe. So it's important that us as drivers take that responsibility as well and get our own driving MOT'd, if you like.
Now, my understanding, Carmine, is that you are a driving instructor. Have you worked with a fair few clients who've had to take this particular assessment?
Yeah, I have. And if I'm honest with you, a lot of the clients that have had to take this particular assessment, even though initially they're quite reluctant to take it, after they've actually taken it, it's a bit of an eye-opener for them in regards to how they need to adapt their driving to the age that they've got to, and maybe think about minimising their drives to local drives, or just using their car basically as a mode of transport to keep up their independence. But the important thing is to adapt after that assessment.
It's funny because you mentioned the word reluctant there, and that was my thought as well. You hear the word assessment, and I don't know about you, but I immediately get terrified and worry that I'm going to fail. I remember being 17 and taking my driver's test and being absolutely nervous. Does that anxiety come about as well?
Oh, 100%. And, I think if we told anyone, doesn't matter how long they've been driving for, they've got an assessment tomorrow morning, I think most people would be a bit anxious about it. But what I have found is, like I say, initially there's a lot of anxiety connected to it. But when they realise it's not actually like a driving test necessarily, that it's a pass or fail, and it's more about highlighting those key risk areas in your driving and then finding ways to adapt to them as well.
Oh, so it's not tick, you can continue driving, or no, sorry, you can't, you can only now do this type of driving. It's not a pass or fail.
Sure, it really much depends on the type of assessment that you've been put in for. But they're not all pass or fail. There's many assessments out there that are simply there to assess the standard of your driving and where you are, and if there's any key risk areas in your driving.
So does it give you sort of room for improvement?
100%. A lot of these assessments are there to sort of, at the end of the session, you can sort of discuss with the instructor, okay, look, this is what needs to improve, and these are your key risk areas. And like I say, one of the biggest things is anticipation, because like I say, as we get older, our anticipation is, we don't have the same anticipation skills, if you like.
Fair enough. So just, you mentioned there that there are different types of assessments. Are there some that are there to put restrictions in place on your driving?
As far as I'm aware, there are a few, but like I say, they're not all necessarily pass or fail. They're there to assess your driving in regards to what needs developing, rather than, okay, look, we've got to take your licence away and then you can't drive again.
Okay, so there's more to it than just specifically you can no longer drive. It's more of an assessment. It's more of being able to see what you can and can't do. And what advice would you give, Carmine, to those who may potentially have been given this notice that they might need one?
Well, I'd strongly suggest that they maybe speak to a local driving instructor that can offer them some sort of refresher lessons or a bit of a polish up of their skills, if you like, or to get an impartial assessment from an instructor so that they can sit in a car, watch you drive, see what your norm is, and then look for those areas that may need developing, if you like, and then really focus on that and hone in on that to get them ready for that assessment.
Carmine, thank you ever so much for shedding some light on these fitness to drive assessments as well, because I hadn't much of an idea of them, so thank you for shedding them. We're going to keep going with the question though: should all drivers over 70 be required to take this course? 0800 111 40 41. And if you have taken the course as well, do get in touch. I'd like to know your experiences of what it was like and what it meant for you and your driving capabilities afterwards as well.